Hey, nope. Hey everyone, it's Syerra. So today I'm showing you guys the reality of having trichotillomania. Before we start, just peep these two girls. These two girls are gonna be looking at you the whole time. It's my shirt from The Shining. You like it? Anyways, yeah, today I'm gonna be talking about the reality of having trichotillomania because it's something I've been dealing with my entire life. So for anyone who doesn't know, a lot of people don't know because I don't have a big following, but I have trichotillomania. It's a neurological condition that makes you pull out your hair from anywhere and makes it impossible to stop. It's a condition that so far has no cure. It can be treated by medicine, therapy, etc. For some people it affects them a lot worse. For some people it affects them not too bad. For me, the first 5 years I had this, it did not affect me that bad. But just recently, in the last year, it affected me really badly, where I started pulling out the hair on top of my head and on the sides, and it's become very obvious to people, and it's something I'm trying so hard every day to work on and fight. And that's why I want to make a video about this. So a year ago, I made a video called My Trichotillomania Story, and that was the first time I ever publicly talked about my disorder. I made a video about it because I feel like it's not common enough. I do feel like in the future, trichotillomania will be as common as depression and anxiety and OCD and all these other things. But I feel like right now when you say the word, people look at you like, what is that? You know, people still don't really know what it is. I've met a few people ever since making that video who actually know what trichotillomania is, and I was like, that's crazy. I've met some people who don't have it but know what it means, and it's starting to, become more popular in the people in my community, so I really appreciate that and like that, and that's why I'm going to continue making these videos to educate and acknowledge people. But today I'm going to talk about the reality of it, so the cons of it, there's no pros to it. I'm also going to mention coping mechanisms that helped for me, tips that my therapist gave me, and more, so stay tuned. So anyways, let's get started. So the first thing, I'm gonna give a quick recap in case people watching this didn't watch my video from last year. My video from last year I will link in the description, so go check that out. I did not expect the feedback I got. I got so much positive feedback, so thank you to everyone who just reached out to me to talk. I've had trichotillomania ever since I was 6-7 years old. I got diagnosed with it when I was 8 years old from a therapist. I've been constantly trying to work on this every single day, but when I was a kid and until I was 16, I only pulled out the hair from my eyebrows and eyelashes. I only did those two, and it's not super noticeable because eyebrows you can fill them in, eyelashes you only have to be super close to a person to really notice. It's only when I was 17 years old that I started pulling out the hair on top of my head, and it's become really bad now. So I'm really at the point where I'm super desperate, looking for any kind of advice from anyone. So even if people are watching this video for advice, if you have any advice that I didn't mention, let me know. I have this goal that by the time I'm 20 years old, so at the end of this year, I am 19 years old right now. My birthday is December, so by the time December 2022 comes, I am hoping to have all my hair grown out by now. By then, it's a goal of mine. It's my New Year's resolution. I'm really strong on it. I'm starting right now because time cannot be wasted. A whole year goes by really fast. And if people are wondering, I'm not going to show the top of my head in this video. I did show the top of my head in my video from last year. I'm not going to do it today just because I already did my hair, already styled it. I don't want to undo it. But here's a photo of how the top of my head looks like now. I know it's really bad. Believe it or not, I've seen some people where it's worse. I'm not trying to compare, but I'm just trying to say that I've seen cases that were worse than mine. So I'm grateful of where I'm at to stop myself. But for people who don't know anything about this, some people always tell me just stop pulling out your hair, just try to stop. Sis, I've been trying to stop literally every single day, every minute, every second. I am thinking of ways to not pull out my hair. It's so addictive pulling it out. I cannot describe it. It's so people who have trichotillomania, you know how satisfying it is to just rip out the hair because it's relieving stress. It's like a relief in a way. For people who don't know how hard it is to stop, I'll give you a comparison that can make you understand. So the feeling when you want the urge to pull out your hair. Let's say we'll compare it to someone who's starving. Let's say you're starving, you're so hungry, when your stomach is growling for food and you're starving, you want to eat anything you see, okay? And someone says, oh, but you can't eat. And you're like, why? And they're like, you just can't, you gotta wait. That's how I feel. I feel as if like when I want to pull out my hair, I feel like as if I have to, like if I have to eat, as if I'm starving. But then when I remind myself I can't, my mind is like, why? I'm like, because you're gonna look bald. My mind's like, you're already there. So yeah, so it's so hard. It's such a big mental game up here. I'm constantly having a fight with myself mentally because I'm wanting to pull out my hair, but then I gotta tell myself why I can't, and I gotta convince myself like why I can't, and then I gotta find ways to distract myself, because if I keep thinking about it, it's gonna eventually happen. And it's so hard. It's not just trying to stop ripping out the hair out on my head, it's also not trying to pull out my eyebrow hair at the same time, not trying to do my eyelashes, not trying to rip out my body hair. It's very much cold turkey. There's no way of pulling out your hair while still letting it grow out fully. It's not like smoking where like you can take nicotine patches, you can try e-cigarettes to stop smoking and like downgrade. Trichotillomania, if you want to let your hair grow out, you got to stop completely, and that's the hardest part, is that you can't really go down on it. You got to stop completely, and that's what I've been trying to do. And here are cons from that. So cons of me not pulling out my hair, it's almost like I'm in a withdrawal situation. Like when people don't get their drugs, they get antsy, they get aggressive, they get depressed sometimes. No kidding, I feel like that. When it's been like a week of not pulling out my hair, I am very irritable, I'm very snappy, I'm very emotional too, because all these emotions are flooding. It's like a really hard time, but then obviously when I see progress, that motivates me a lot, but it's just not ripping out the one hair, because the second I rip out one hair, it's gonna spark a big like boom cycle, and then I'm gonna rip out everything, and then I'm gonna have no more progress left. And that's what I did last week, and it's a big mistake. I regret it so badly, and I had a huge breakdown from it, but now I'm realizing, hey, you still got time. We're still January. Well, by the time this video is uploaded, it's February. But when this happened, I was like, listen, it's still January. You still got 11 months to grow all your hair back. If you can just start now, it'll be good. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And here's the thing about trichotillomania, is it's very up and down. And right now I hit a very down part. And as long as you're planning to get back up and go back up, there's no issue. If you're planning to stay down there and say, oh, well, everything's useless, I'm just gonna rip out all my hair right now because it's satisfying. I've been close to doing that, but then I just stop myself and I'm like, no. Because you gotta think long term. I have to think long term of like, just life. Like when I go to job interviews 3 years from now for when I'm trying to find a career, I can't show up wearing a bandana because that's not really professional. I have to show up in my hair. If I don't have any hair, that's an issue. Well, for me, it's an issue. I'm not saying it's an issue for everyone, but for me, it causes issues. And another con of trichotillomania is that for me, it makes me feel less feminine. And I am a very girly girl. I love wearing makeup. I love wearing jewelry. I love styling my hair. I love wearing dresses and heels. I love it all. I'm very the stereotypical girl. And losing 50% of my hair it makes me feel less feminine, it makes me feel less confident, it makes me feel less comfortable in my own body, and I really don't ever want anyone to feel like that. And for me, and I know a lot of people are like, so what if you don't feel feminine? Well, for me that's an issue. Like for some people it might not be a concern, but for me it's important because it helps me build confidence, and I think it's important for me. Some people are like, girl, why don't you just shave your head now? You're practically bald. I'm like, no, because the hair I do have, I love taking care of it. I love brushing it. I love putting all these nice products in it. I love taking my long showers. It still gives me something to hold on to, and that's what keeps me from not pulling out my hair. Because I know damn well if I shaved my head and I had nothing at all, once it started growing back, I would pull it all again, and I would never have this ever again for a long time. Another con of this is pretty obvious, but it affects your mental health so badly. I tell everyone I would give up anything in life to give up this, to not have trichotillomania. I don't wish this severity of trichotillomania upon anyone. And I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm so like unfortunate I have this issue. It's so like it ruined my life. It didn't ruin my entire life yet because I'm not letting it. It really affected it a lot. Trichotillomania was like a lot of rocks in the road for me, you know, like I'm trying to go through life and then boop, trichotillomania, boop, trichotillomania, boop, trichotillomania. And a lot of people don't realize how big of a thing it is just to carry. Like on top of just school stress, on top of just trying to maintain a social life, on top of just trying to be, I'm trying to be a better person, I'm trying to better myself, I'm trying to take care of myself mentally, and on top of that, while having trichotillomania, it's so hard. But anyways, enough about talking about how hard it is and stuff like that. I'm gonna go into coping mechanisms and tips and things that have helped me not pull out my hair and help me get some progress down the line. So tip number one for me is that I have to keep myself busy, and I know it's like impossible with the pandemic sometimes, but if you can keep yourself busy, like I'm gonna sign up for a gym soon because I'm gonna go to a gym and that's gonna keep me busy. I did like 2 hours of schoolwork today, which is really important, and it keeps me busy as well. School keeps me busy. I have a part-time job where I work every weekend. It keeps me busy so that the few days off I have, I'm only focused on like sleeping and trying to recover. I'm not focused on like pulling out my hair. And lately I've had a lot of free time, and that's why I've pulled out my hair recently, because in my city where I live, we have a lot of restrictions. They're gonna get lifted really, really soon, but we're still suffering from those. So I've had a lot of free time on my hands, and free time is the worst for me, honestly. I always complain about I'm so busy, but deep down I do love being so busy because then it helps. So I recommend staying busy. Number two, for me, I always rip out my hair with my left hand, 3 fingers. I know some people use tweezers. I use tweezers like sometimes, I try not to, because when I do, I go way overboard. So for me, a tip I have is that I just thought about this one night. I was like, why did I ever do this? Like, this is helping so much. Put band-aids or tape on your fingers, like on your fingertips. If you pull out with your fingers, like for me, I put band-aids on these 3 fingers so that when I try to get a piece of hair, I literally cannot. Third thing I recommend is do what I do and try to cover your head 24/7. For me to not pull out my hair, it literally has to be covered where I cannot grab it. Like for this, wearing a bandana is perfect. I won't go under and go like this because then I might as well just take it off. I have enough self-control to not just take it off and rip it off. But I am always pretty much almost 24/7 covering the top of my head, because the second my head is exposed, my hands are like magnets. They're like, ah! I sound probably so crazy, and I know people are like, it's not that deep. It is that deep for me. For me, it's not for everyone, but this is just how it is for me. Tip number 4, I also recommend, try to avoid mirrors. Try to avoid like close-up mirrors. Like mirrors to like check your outfit and see if you look good, that's fine. But like for me, the main issue was like the small mirrors to do your makeup in. Like sometimes I would just stare in there and I would look at my eyebrows all close up, and I was like grabbing my tweezer and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna shape my eyebrows. I'm gonna shape them. But then I would start ripping right here where I'm not supposed to, and I'm like, what are you doing? So I had to get rid of my tweezers, and I had to get rid of like small compact mirrors. Whenever I do my makeup, I just sit in front of my big mirror and like do my makeup because they're causing an issue for me. Another tip I have, this is also very general, but a lot of people are not doing this sometimes. Therapy. Please do not forget therapy. Listen, if you can't afford it and it's actually financially causing an issue, I completely understand. I've been there once. But if you can afford it, I would highly recommend going to therapy, because for me, therapy has honestly saved my life. I've been with this therapist named Catherine for 2 years, and she's honestly so amazing. Just shout out to you, Catherine. I've cried so many times on camera with her, but just having a therapist and someone to talk to who knows what they're talking about helps a lot. Like, because she's studying this and she went to school and has all this knowledge, like she knows what she's talking about, and she's given me tips of like stay busy and talk to someone. She's told me to journal, and I've journaled sometimes, and it helps because I'm writing and it keeps my hands busy. And for me, we found out that in-person therapy, like going to see someone actually in person, is a lot more expensive than online. I do online therapy, which works just as well. I thought I wouldn't like it, but I really did. And instead of it being $200 per session, it's $80 per session, which is a lot better. And also my parents, we have insurance, so it doesn't cost us anything. But if we didn't have insurance, it would be $80 every session. And it's up to me of how many sessions I want. I book them whenever I feel like I need one. So I would really recommend like looking into that, because that's something that has really, really helped me. See, for me, I always had my mom to talk about this. A little less now, because me and my mom kind of distanced because, you know, different beliefs, different lives. But I still love my mom, and my mom, when she was little, she also had trichotillomania. It never got to the point that it got to me. You know, some people, it affects them differently. My mom, it was mainly her eyebrows, eyelashes, and this one patch on top of her head. She always ripped out the one little patch, but me, my patch is literally all of this. But she did like me. She wore a lot of bandanas. She tried to cover up a lot, and it's really hard just living with that. When she was in her early 30s, she kind of like grew out of it. I hope that can happen to me like this year. If I try really hard enough to not pull, I hope I can just grow out of it. But the chances are very slim, so you know. My mom does say she got lucky, and she says that she's lucky that she got pulled out of that because it was hell. And I don't believe that she just got pulled out of it. I don't believe that you just wake up one morning and you don't have it anymore. I feel like something clicked in her brain, or maybe like sometimes you experience some trauma and that's way worse than your hair pulling, so you focus on that and you kind of forget about trichotillomania. I think that's what happened to my mom, because my mom experienced a lot of trauma in her life, but like doesn't say that she has. Anyways, I've had my mom talk to about this in the beginning, and then later on I have my dad, my stepmom, my grandparents, my therapist, my friends, the community of people who watch my videos, you know? So yeah, I really just recommend talking to someone. And for people who don't believe in talking to someone, give it a try. Like, you can't knock it till you try it. What is that saying? You can't clock it till you knock it? I don't know. You can't bash on it till you try, okay? So come on. So anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want more trichotillomania related content, give this video a thumbs up, and that will let me know to continue making more. Subscribe down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!